Oh hi. Dakar, the capital, the large seaport and the largest city of Senegal, located on the peninsula Cape Verde, on the coast of the Atlantic Ocean. Dakar is the most western city of Africa. The population of Dakar makes 1,146,052 people, with suburbs -3,938,358 people. Etymology. The city is founded in 1857 as the French military post at the fishing small village with the name Dakar, Tamarisk. This name was kept also by the city which has grown then on the place of the village and the post which has merged with it. History. The peninsula has been populated no later than the 15th century with the people Tuloban, the aquacultural ethnic group connected with the neighboring tribes of Wolof and Asir. Initial villages, Uamam, Angor, Yofanhan, still form the quarters of the city occupied generally Tulob. In 1444 Portuguese, first as the slaves hunters have come to the Dakar Gulf. In 1456 Gomez, the regional public institution has established the peace relations with local population, and the Gulf began to be called subsequently Angra de Beziguich, by name the local governor. The Bay Beziguich continued to serve as the important parking for the Portuguese Indian armadas of the beginning of the 16th century. The fleet regularly stopped, as on the way to India and back, for repair, replenishment of reserves of sweet water and purchase of provisions at locals. It is considered that during one of such parking in 1501 the Florentine seafarer Amerigo Vespucci has made the hypothesis of New World of discovery of America. Portuguese eventually have founded the settlement on Goree Island, then known as the island of Beziguich or Palma, which by 1536 began to be used as base for evacuation of slaves. However, the mainland of the peninsula was under control of the Empire of Joliffe as a part of the western province of Caire, which has separated from Joliffe in 1549. The new village Tulob called Tuan Dakar has been founded directly opposite Gore in the 17th century for supply of the European trading station with provisions and drinking water. A brief has been taken by the Netherlands in 1588, as has given it its present name. Puri in honor of Pure Overvlak is written in the Netherlands. The island passed from hand to hand Portuguese and Dutch several times before has got under the power of British under command of the Admiral Robert Holmes on January 23, 1664 and, at last, to the French in 1677. The notorious House of Slaves has been built in the mountain in 1776. In 1795 inhabitants Tulob have risen from Cape Verde against Board Caire. The new theocratic state, subsequently called the French Republic of Lebu, has been created under the direction of Diab, Muslim clerical family. It is from Cooks in Caire. The capital of the Republic has proclaimed the settlement of Nandakaru. In 1857 the French have based a military post in Dakar, who they called Dakar, and annexed the Republic of Lebu, though nominally its institutions continued to function. Seren, the Lord. Nandakaru still is recognized the Senegalese state as traditional political authority Tulob. The slave trade has been cancelled by France in February 1794. However, Napoleon has restored it in May 1802, and then has finally cancelled it in March 1815. Despite Napoleon's order, the underground slave trade proceeded in the mountain till 1848, when it has been cancelled in all territory of France. To replace trade in slaves, the French advanced cultivation of peanut on the continent. When trade in peanut prospered, tiny Goree Island, which population has grown to 600 inhabitants, was inefficient as port. Dealers from Gore have decided to move to the continent, and in 1840 in Rofist the trading station with warehouses has been based. The colonial authorities allocated considerable funds for development of infrastructure of Dakar. Port constructions have been improved. Along the coast the cable line to St. Louis has been laid, and in 1885 the railroad Dakar-St. Louis, then the city became important base for conquest of the Western Sudan, has been complete. Grief, including Dakar, has been recognized as the French Commune in 1872. Dakar has been separated from Gore as the certain commune in 1887. Citizens have elected the mayor and municipal council and could send the elected of the representative to the National Assembly of France. Dakar has replaced St. Louis as the capital of the French Western Africa in 1902. The second large railroad, Dakar-Niger, built in 1906-1923, has connected Dakar with Bamako and has strengthened the position of the city at the head of the French Western Africa. In 1929 the commune of Goree Island, numbering now only several hundreds of inhabitants, has been united with Dakar. The urbanization during the colonial period has been noted by forms of the racial and social segregation, which is often concerning health and hygiene, which define structure of the city to this day. After plague epidemic in 1914, the authorities have forced out the bulk of the African population from old quarters, or plateau, in the new quarter designated Medina, separated by a sanitary cordon. As the first settlers of the earth, inhabitants Tulob successfully resisted to this expropriation. They were supported by Blaise Diagne, the first African elected the deputy of the National Assembly. Nevertheless, subsequently the plateau became the administrative, commercial and housing area which is allocated for Europeans and served as model for similar administrative enclaves in other colonial capitals of the French Africa. Bamako, Conakry, Abidjan, Brazzaville. Later the urbanization has extended to the east for Pekin, the suburb which population, according to 2001 about card people, was more than in actually Dakar, to Rofist, creating the megalopolis with the population nearly 3 million people. More than a quarter of the population of the country. During the colonial blossoming, Dakar was one of the largest cities of the French Empire, comparable to Hanoi or Beirut. The French trading companies opened branches there. Thanks to existence of port and railway junction, the city attracted numerous investments into the industry. The plants, breweries, oil processing, canneries. It was also strategically important for France, which supported important naval base and the coal station in the harbor and used Dakar as node for the air force and airmail. Legendary airfield Mermoz, who is nowadays not existing. In 1940 Dakar has been involved in World War II when General de Gaulle, the leader of Free France, has tried to make the city base for the operations of resistance. The purpose consisted in hoisting the colors of Free France in the Western Africa, to occupy Dakar and, thus, to begin to consolidate the French resistance in the African colonies. The plan assumed support of the British fleet. However, because of delays and publication of the plan, Dakar has already got under influence of the government of Vichy, controlled by Germany. Igbo believed that he would be able to convince the French forces of Dakar to join the anti-Hitlerite coalition. However, an attempt of disembarkation of force of Free France and the British fleet have faced persistent resistance, and at the coast the three-day Battle of Dakar, continuing on September 23-25, 1940, has begun. Operation has been stopped after the considerable losses suffered by the British fleet. Though the initiative of Dakar has failed, General de Gaulle could locate in Douala in Cameroon, which became a point of concentration of resistance forces. In November 1944, the West African recruits of the French army have lifted a mutiny against bad conditions in the Tyroi camp on the outskirts of the city. The mutiny was considered as charge of a colonial system and became a watershed for the national movement. Dakar was the capital of short-lived Federation of Mali from 1959 to 1960, then became the capital of Senegal. The poet, the philosopher and the first president of Senegal, Léopold Sédar Senghor, has tried to turn Dakar into Athens, located to the south from the Sahara. Nowadays Dakar, large financial center in which there are representations of tens of national and regional banks, including BK, which operates CFA Franc, and also the numerous international organizations, ENGO and the international research centers. The big community of Lebanese, concentrated in the sector of import-export, which origin ascends by 1920 years, community of the Moroccan businessmen and also communities of Mauritians, residents of Cape Verde and Guinea, lives in Dakar. In the city lives up to 20,000 French emigrants. France still has military and air base in Yoff, and the French fleet is serviced in the port of Dakar. From 1978 to 2007, Dakar often was a finishing point of Rally Dakar. Geography and climate. The climate is subequatorial, strongly droughty, with a short rainy season and a long dry season. The rainy season lasts from July to October, and the dry season from November to June. In Dakar, about 395 mm of rainfall a year. All during the rainy season drop out. During a dry season of drought are extremely rare. Temperatures in Dakar are lower than in other African cities at similar width, and only in September-October reach a little more than 30 C. At a small amount of rainfall, the humidity all the year round remains at a high level, even during a dry season when rainfall does not happen. The special microclimate of the city in comparison with other Western Africa is caused by the fact that it is all the year round cooled with a sea breeze. Sites. The Museum of the African Art of Theodore Monod, one of the oldest museums of art in the Western Africa. The Dakar Cathedral Mosque, one of the most important mosques of Senegal. Monument of the African Revival, the highest statue in Africa. Colobane, the largest wholesale market of clothes and footwear. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.